Alright everybody, as most of you already know, Drake just released a new album. The album is called For All the Dogs, and in this video I'm going to show you guys how to recreate a similar vibe to the album. Now I just want to preface this by saying that if you guys have heard any of the songs on the album, Drake definitely goes into a lot of different vibes on this one. So in this specific one right here, I'm going to try to recreate something similar to the song with J. Cole. More specifically, the second part of the song where Drake goes super dark. So let's not waste any more time, let's just jump straight in. Alright, so we are now here in FL Studio 21, as you guys can see. First things first, we're just going to bump the BPM up to 164, and then we need to pick our first sound. The melody as a whole is actually going to be very simple. It's more about the drums, specifically the kick and the 808, that is a bit more complex. So for our first sound, I just opened up Mellotron 5. You want to go for some sort of synth, lead, organ, or pad that sounds like this. Then we are going to open up the piano roll and we're just going to work in the B minor scale. Now, since we are working in the B minor scale, we're just going to start off by laying down a note on the B4. Extend this out a little bit, and we also want to build off of this starting note right here. So since we are going for that very dark Drake vibe that he has on the second part of the song with J. Cole, we want to make sure we have more of a dark chord progression. So to get that tension, you really want to make sure to use notes that are very close to each other. So these two notes right here are called half steps, as they are right next to each other. So instead of making a standard triad like this, we are actually going to pitch this note down one semitone, so we really have that tension in between these two. And then we can also just copy this over, but this time we're going to pitch this one up one semitone again, so we're using the half steps right here. And then for this last part over here, we're just going to do something a little bit different. So copy this over, but we're going to shorten it like this, pitch this up one semitone, and then for the last part, just copy that over, but pitch this back down one semitone like this. So this is going to be the start of the melody. Copy it over. Yes, so it already has that dark tension to it. Now obviously the sound really fits, but we definitely need to add some effects to it. So I'm just going to add a little bit of reverb to start off with, about 23% on this roam right here. Then I'm also going to add a halftime to get a little bit of that pulsing type of sound. I'm just going to put it to half a bar. Also put this effects knob all the way to the left, while you also put the mix to about 50%. Lastly, just a little bit of RC20 to get that vinyl texture to it, and also a little bit of kickstart 2 again to get that pulsing type of sound. Yes, you can hear the difference with the effects on for sure. The next thing we want to do to the melody is just add some more higher frequencies. So in this case, again, I'm just going to open up Analog Lab 5 and try to find a similar sounding sound, just so we're going to pitch it up a bit. So I just copy pasted the same exact pattern from our main synth, but for this one, like I said, we just want to pitch it up a bit. So let's try pitching it up by 2 octaves. Yeah, so now we get the high end as well. Really starting to get there. Just going to try to add some halftime as well to this one. Alright, the last element we're going to add to the melody is actually just going to be a cool little phrase I found in Arcade. It sounds like this. All we're going to do to that is just tuck it in the background, and we don't really have to do too much more with the melody. This is because we just want to keep this melody as it is and repeat it over and over again. But then to really differentiate between the parts, we're actually just going to pitch the melody 1 octave down and then later 1 octave up again. Of course, while we have the drums playing. So now that we have the sample finished, let's start off with the drums. But before we start laying down a drum pattern, I just want to let you guys know that all of the drum sounds I'm using in this video are all coming from my Mirage multi-kit. So if you guys like any of the drum sounds you hear in this video, you can obviously check out a kit. It is on my website, which is BBMarko.com, or you guys can just click the first link down below. If you guys didn't know, the Mirage multi-kit is actually 6 different kits all in one bundle. So you're not only getting the drum kit, you are actually also getting a melody MIDI kit, a sample pack, a portal bank, a phrases kit, sample pack, and texture kit as well. So it is all included in the kit. So if you guys want to check it out, like I said, just go on my website. Just start off with this snare as our clap. Copy that over. For the hi-hats, we're actually going to keep them a bit simple, just a normal 2-step pattern like this, but we want to add some rolls. Some quick rolls like this. Not really too much going on. Like this right here, a little bit of a switch up at the end. Let's try to see how it sounds when we pitch the melody down as well. Let's start adding in those open hats. Yeah, so we have a few open ads right here. Now what I'm actually going to do with this open ad right here is I'm going to extend it out and I'm going to copy one over here. But for the second one, we want to make sure to go down to the velocity and turn it a little bit down just so it's a bit more subtle in the background. That's fire. Once we add some kicks to this, it's going to sound crazy. Alright, so now that we kind of have the foundation down, let's add the kick and the 808. In this case, we're just going to start off with the kick and then add the 808 later on. We want to make sure to kind of go overboard with the kicks on this one, so we're going to add a lot of them. So this right here is the kick pattern. So you can see we have a lot of hits. And we also have a little bit of a roll at the end right there. So what you want to make sure with the kick pattern is also to play a little bit around with the velocity on some of the hits. So as you guys can see, we have that common 3-hit kick pattern right there. But what I did with this one is that I just copied one more kick over here. But instead of having it hit at the full velocity like we have the rest of them, we're just going to lower it down a little bit so it's a bit more subtle, but it's still present in the mix. We are doing the same thing over here at the end of the 4 bars. So we're having a kick right there that hits a little bit more subtle, as well as this last one over here, which is again lowered in velocity. On this second part, we're almost just copy pasting the kick pattern over again. But on this last section, I just added a quick little roll that fades upwards like this. All we need to do now is just add a long-lasting 808 and just copy-paste the kick pattern over to the 808. So now that we copy-pasted the kick pattern over to the 808, we're just going to do some minor tweaks to the 808 so it really enhances the whole beat. The first thing we need to do is obviously pitch everything down by 1 semitone so we are in the right root note. Then we also want to make sure to shorten some of the 808 hits right here. This is really going to give it a cool vibe. Then I'm also going to go over here to the end, and over here where we have our 808 roll, I also just want to pitch maybe these two up by 1 octave right before the roll hits. So we have some cool stops. This sounds exactly like off the album. Alright, so that is also pretty much it for the drums. Now I want to show you guys a super cool thing that he did in the track. So if you guys take a listen to the arrangement, there is one section where it sounds like the melody is kind of ducking away while the drums are still hitting super hard. We're going to do something similar to this. All we need to do is just find a melody bus like we have right here. Then I'm just going to add a simple kickstart too using this preset right here. While this kickstart is only going to affect the melody and not the drums. So now that we have everything finished, I'm quickly just going to arrange the whole beat and let's take a listen to the final thing. Right, so this right here is the full beat. Jumps right in from the start.
Shut up, Marko.
Drops down the pitch right here, so we're just pitching it 1 octave down. Just to differentiate from the parts, but it's still the same melody. Here we have that kickstart. It's a simple automation. Bit of bark noises. Just imagining Drake's hard vocals over this. A little bit of a stop right here. Back to the pitched up section. Then it just drops back in.